In this series, I aim to give you a quick introduction to some of the plant families found in the UK. Learning to identify plant families is a great help in identifying individual plant species you come across. Plants are classified into families based on characteristics that they share. So, the way to identify a plant's family is to know these characteristic features. Today we're going to look at the Caprifoliaceae, or honeysuckle family. This is a family of around 890 species and includes shrubs, climbers, and annual, biennial, and perennial herbaceous plants. They are found largely across the temperate northern hemisphere, with some species in mountainous tropical areas. Until relatively recently, Caprifoliaceae was a smaller family, with many of its members being classed in the families Valerianaceae and Dipsacaceae. Valerianaceae and Dipsacaceae are now considered part of Caprifoliaceae. Conversely, some members were moved into their own separate family, the Viburnaceae. So be aware that in many field guides, not all the species now categorised as in Caprifoliaceae might be under that name. The Caprifoliaceae is mostly known for the species grown as ornamentals, like the woody climber Lonicera periclymenum, honeysuckle. Shrubs like Leycesteria formosa, Himalayan honeysuckle, Kolkwitzia amabilis, Beautybush, Symphoricarpos albus, Snowberry, and Weigela florida, Weigelia. And herbaceous plants like Cephalaria gigantea, giant Scabious, Lomelosia stellata, Starflower Pincushions, and Centranthus rubra, red valerian. However, there are also species which are used medicinally and for essential oils, like Valeriana officinalis, valerian, and Nardistachys jatamansi, spikenard, and for food, such as Valerianella locusta, common corn salad. In the UK, we have climbers such as Lonicera periclymenum, and herbaceous annuals, biennials, and perennials, including Dipsacus pholinum, wild teasel, Linnaea borealis, twin flower, Succisa pratensis, devil's bit scabious, Scabiosa columbaria, small scabious, and Nautia arvensis, field scabious. There are also introduced shrubs, like Lonicera nitida, Wilson's honeysuckle, and Symphoricarpos albus. Most plants in the Caprifoliaceae have zygomorphic flowers, that is, they're bilaterally symmetrical, although some are nearly actinomorphic, radially symmetrical. They usually have 5 petals, though a few species have 4. The petals are joined together towards their base, forming a tube or funnel-shaped corolla tube. Sometimes the petals are shaped into an upper and a lower lip at the end of the tube, such as in Lonicera, the honeysuckles. The flowers are usually shades of purple, pink, or yellow. In some members of the family, the corolla tube forms a spur or a pouch at its base. The calyx is very variable. In the shrubby species, there are 5 sepals that are joined towards the base into a tube. In the herbaceous species, the calyx may be cup-shaped, or the sepals may be reduced to tiny teeth or bristles. The bristles become a pappus, a ring of bristles or hairs on the fruit. The stamens are attached to the inside of the corolla tube and tend to protrude from the flower, as does the stigma. The shrubby and climbing plants have 5 stamens, while the herbaceous ones mostly have 3 or 4, though Centranthus has 1. The flowers often have bracts underneath. A subset of species, like Dipsacus pholinum, have the flowers arranged in a dense head called a capitulum, with a whorl of bracts underneath. The individual flowers in these usually have an epicalyx, like an extra set of sepals outside the calyx. This tends to grow into a tube that surrounds and encloses the ripe fruits. Caprifoliaceae flowers are mostly bisexual, with both female and male parts, but there is the odd species that behaves differently, so don't let these trip you up. Nautia and Succisa have flower heads with bisexual flowers and flower heads with only female flowers, and Valeriana dioica has separate female and male plants. The flowers are pollinated by insects. The ovaries of the flowers are inferior and develop into either a fleshy berry or drupe, or into a dry, one-seeded achene, capsule, or nutlet. The dry fruits may have a pappus. The leaves of Caprifoliaceae plants are arranged opposite each other on the stems, and may be simple, deeply lobed, or compound pinnate, divided into leaflets. So, if you found a member of the Caprifoliaceae, the flowers will be tubular, probably zygomorphic, maybe two-lipped, and in shades of purple, pink, or yellow. Between 1 and 5 stamens will be attached to the inside of the fused petals, and they will protrude from the end of the flower. The flowers may have bracts beneath them, and will have either 5 sepals fused into a tube or cup shape, or the sepals will be reduced and tooth or bristle-like. The flowers may have an epicalyx, and be clustered into dense heads with a whorl of bracts underneath. The ovaries will be inferior, and the fruits either fleshy or dry. The leaves will be oppositely arranged. See if you can find and identify any of these 3 species. Lonicera periclymenum, honeysuckle, a climbing shrub with long twining stems, clusters of long tubular, two-lipped, highly scented flowers in pink, yellow, and white, with red berries. Dipsacus phelonum, wild teasel, a tall herbaceous plant with lilac flowers in domed heads, with long upcurved bracts beneath them, prickly stems, and prickly leaves joined at their bases. And Centranthus rubra, red valerian, an introduced species commonly seen growing on walls, with deep pink or white flowers in clusters, slightly blue-green leaves, and dry, fluffy fruits.